Welcome back to Glendale Today. I'm Councilmember Sammy Chavira. Now we're going to talk about public safety during the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl. And my guests for this segment are Assistant Police Chief Matt Lively and Assistant Fire Chief Chris DeChant. Assistant Chief Lively, can you tell us what kind of extra safety measures were taken and what will those remain permanent to better improve the long-term safety of Glendale?
You know, really the thing that will remain with our citizens is the extra training and partnerships that we formed with all of our partnering agencies, both federal, state, and local. The physical improvements at the stadium were temporary. Those were put in by the NFL and they were removed when they left. But we did a lot of training throughout the year in preparation for the games with agencies that we don't normally train with and with agencies that we don't normally work with. So as an example, our public information officers formed a really tight coalition so that they can share information across boundaries much easier than ever before.
You know, Chief, what I was really impressed with, because public safety being my background as a firefighter, I was really impressed with the multi-agency cooperation and how seamless everything was. It was absolutely incredible. Assistant Chief Lively, just how much public safety planning does it take to be the host of hundreds of thousands of people?
You know, it really was a lot of events. So people focus on Pro Bowl and Super Bowl, but there were events prior to Pro Bowl throughout that entire week and throughout the entire region. So one of the biggest parts of the planning was the coordination across those boundaries and throughout the valley. So communication is huge for public safety, both on the police and fire side. So we had a lot of work to do to coordinate that. But we supported agencies across the valley as they supported us. So it wasn't uncommon to see a Glendale bomb squad in Scottsdale or Phoenix supporting them while other agencies were coming to help us. So it took well over a year to get all of that coordination in place.
Oh, there are definitely a lot of moving parts, I'll tell you that. Assistant Chiefs Lively and DeChant, when exactly did the planning for these events begin for your departments?
You know, on the police side, we started meeting in the summer of 2013 with all those agencies we had partnered with previously.
On the fire side, same thing. We started meeting with the police department, and we were fortunate that the process we used back in 2008, we're able to use that again to plan throughout the entire valley for all those events that Matt just talked about.
See, and that's what's incredible is you have the melding of police, fire, and all the other agencies, not only here in the state but throughout the nation. Assistant Chief Lively, I know Glendale already has working relationships with other agencies, but for this type of event, what was it like planning, coordinating public safety with surrounding law enforcement agencies from other jurisdictions?
You know, we had to make sure that, number one, our needs were met for our citizens. We had to make sure that we had more than the normal staffing on our streets. Then we had to coordinate with those other agencies to do the same. So as Peoria or Surprise or Scottsdale even sent officers to assist us, they had to cover their own needs first, and then we had to coordinate with that. So it was a little bit of a challenge in getting the right number of people in the right number of places, but it all came together.
Thank you, Chief. Assistant Chief Lively DeChant, with an event this big and the need for additional resources, tell us about the Central Command Post. Was there a permanent unit staged at the stadium?
Inside the stadium, there were several different command posts. Number one, at any game, we have what's called the Crow's Nest. So that's kind of the central hub for all information inside the stadium. In addition to that, there was a public safety booth made up of senior officials from other agencies and the NFL control booth. NFL control is where their senior vice presidents and top brass are there to run the game. In addition to that, we ran an outside command post for Glendale. Our incident management team was located there.
Chief, can you expand on the fire side?
Yes, it's the same as what Matt said. We used an incident management team. This is the first time that we did it. That is one difference from back in 2008, and it was a combined public safety incident management team. So Matt and I worked together with a gentleman who's a Type 1 incident commander. He runs major wildland fires, deployed to events nationally like Hurricane Katrina and Rita. We were able to have individuals like, his name's Clay, come in and actually mentor us through the process and make sure that we had everything taken care of.
And Chief Lively and DeChant, this is treated as an active incident, correct? From the get-go?
The big difference is that we had a long time to plan it, but
yes, sir.
It's an event versus an incident, but we got the luxury of planning in advance. We also had the luxury for the Super Bowl of actually having the Pro Bowl the week prior. That was the best test that we could have as far as an event.
That was just almost like a business's soft opening. You can get all the bugs out for the big event, correct?
Let us check our plans out for sure.
Yes, sir. Assistant Chief Lively, I understand that a local television station did a segment that revolved around statistics from the Super Bowl for reports taken that involved counterfeit tickets and pickpocketing. Considering there were over 100,000 fans in the area, those numbers were 18 reports in total. How about other types of criminal activity?
You know, we worked for several weeks before the game, so the total numbers are larger than 18. 18 was during the time period of the game itself. So prior to that, we worked on human trafficking, sex trafficking, things like that. We worked a lot on counterfeit merchandise and tickets. There were a number of counterfeit tickets that were produced, and there were a number of large arrests in partnership with Phoenix Police and Homeland Security. They collected a lot of fraudulent merchandise.
And this was prior to the actual Pro Bowl and Super Bowl, correct?
Correct, yeah, during that time period. Game day, really, we didn't have a lot of incidents in Glendale. There were some people that showed up with fraudulent tickets. There were a few unfortunate incidents where somebody stole somebody's tickets or pickpocketed them, but we didn't have any real acts of violence. We had a few people trespassing places where they shouldn't have been, a few people that over-celebrated a little bit, but overall it was a very good crowd.